You're listening to the Pulled by the Root podcast.
This is your host, Heidi Marble. It is Pulled by the Root's deepest pleasure to share this behind-the-scenes podcast with Heidi Frederick and Sean Farley. We dive into our collaboration and how Heidi's poem, Looking for Me, became a song. As fate would have it, Heidi is actually staying with me as she grieves the loss of her father, who only passed away yesterday. I did not know during our first podcast almost a year ago that her father only lived minutes from me. The release of this song, which was inspired by her love for him, has even more meaning now. All of you are such a gift to us, and we hope this song wraps you in comfort. Looking for Me will be played at the end of this episode. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Heidi Marble. I am about to explode into glitter. I am so excited to have our amazing musician, sound guy, friend, Sean Farley here, and the beautiful Heidi Frederick. Heidi Frederick was one of the first adopted people that I interviewed, and Sean was one of the first people I talked to when I had the dream of doing something for the adoption community. So welcome, you guys. I'm so glad you're here tonight with me.
Good to be here.
Yeah, so we were talking before we pushed record about how all of this started, and maybe I can start with that story, Sean, and you and I can chat about that, and then we'll swoop Heidi in.
Yeah.
But basically, I had envisioned a project that had a book, a documentary series, and an outreach. I never envisioned a podcast. That's been such an incredible thing to have emerge from this. But Sean Farley, as most of you know, is somebody I met through my birth family, who is an incredible musician. And when I thought about original music for the project, I just took a chance and reached out to Sean, and he said yes. And one of the things I expressed to him during that first phone call was the ultimate dream was to turn maybe my words into a song, but certainly the people that we meet along the way, and to be able to really create a soundtrack for Pulled by the Root. So I don't know, Sean, can you talk about what you remember about that moment? I mean, we were thick into COVID right there too.
Yeah, we were thick into COVID, and I wasn't sure what I was going to be able to do with myself. And I remember I was working in my shop and, just worried about everything. And I got a call from you, and, I was, I love your birth family so much, and I'm such good friends with your niece, Ronnie. And so I was happy to hear from you and was so interested in the project you were doing. It just sounded like a really good thing to be a part of. And yeah, boy, it's really turned into a whole bunch of awesome stuff since then. And yeah, we talked about, I've done the music, like the intro stuff, and, help put the podcast together, and, we do all kinds of fun stuff. The podcast turning into what it's turned into has been really exciting for me, as I'm an avid podcast enthusiast. And I always joke, it's like I'm becoming an old man listening to the modern AM radio. But it's just such an awesome format to talk in length and rawly about anything. And so I think it's been a really good fit for this, and you've connected with so many people, and I've got to meet so many people, and including Heidi. And
Yeah, and it's just, there's so much synergy that's happened. So Heidi said, I was telling her that we were flying Sean out, that our team was going to get together for the very first time. Sean lives on the East Coast, we live on the West Coast, and Heidi's like, well, maybe I could be in town. And we all collected together, and it was a moment to see Sean and Heidi sitting on the couch. We're filming and bringing her beautiful poem called Looking for Me into a song. Just seeing the conception process of that was so incredible. So Heidi, maybe you can talk about like how this all happened for you and what your version is of this experience.
Yeah, so I can't even track back how I even got introduced to you, somewhere through the clicking around through Facebook and different adoptee groups. And I was so honored to be one of your early guests, and just getting to know you has just been amazing. I don't even think I realized until after our interview when you said something about being in the Pacific Northwest, and then I told you my family lived up there, and it turned out that you lived in the same small town as my sister. So all of it is just so in alignment, But I just recall being on the podcast and telling parts of my story, and just difficulty I had with not being able to share my experience with my dad, that my adopted mom passed away when I was 24, and then my dad is 94, and I basically have to keep it all from him. Well, I had told him about it and he got upset, so I don't share with him. So I think that's when I had shared that, I just wish he knew, like, I wasn't looking for new parents, I was looking for me. And when I said that, that's when Sean jumped in and said, wait a minute, like, that's a song right there. And he asked me if I would be willing to write lyrics. And I just remember, I don't even know if I said it on the podcast, but I'm thinking, I have been dreaming about writing songs at least 15 years, if not longer. And now here's someone that's asking me to write lyrics, and he will write the music. So just everything about it was so exciting, and still is exciting. We're just going through the process. But yeah, and so just that one line of, looking for me has now blown out into this whole song. And I think we did the podcast maybe on a Saturday morning, and I had all the lyrics written, I think, by Saturday night. I was just like, it just flowed. So.
Yeah. And then when we all got to get together in person, it felt like magic to me. I mean, Sean, what was that like for you to finally experience that in person with Heidi?
Oh, it was really neat. And I remember, Heidi, when I heard that, I think you read your wildflower poem to me, and I connected with that because when I was little, my mom gardened, and I liked being outside and wanted to see what she was doing, and she would give me wildflower seeds to plant because it was, a child could throw those into a section of a garden. And I just remember the significance of them to me is how easy it was, and just how beautiful that section of the garden always was, just this randomness was this easy beauty. But yeah, you, both your poems, well, the first poem was musical to me, and then you said that tagline, which I think a lot of the songs that I've written before kind of they usually start with music, but they often start with like a tagline like that, some sort of deep catchphrase, and yeah, you got right to task, and I think I gave you some parameters to make it, sometimes in poetry it won't be, I always think the width of something on a page, a song is about the same width, and sometimes poems have these longer lines. And yeah, you went right to task, and we had very little tweaking to do to turn it into a good song. And I know co-writing for me has never been something easy, and it's because the sharing of the words, it's how did two people tell one story cohesively. So for me, it was a really cool process in that you wrote all the lyrics, and I helped just dial them in rhythmically a tiny bit. And then my favorite thing is to read something like that, or watch an experience and get chord qualities in my head, and try to find the chords that'll fit the vibe and the mood. And remember, we wanted something sort of melancholy, but then with a resolve of hope. And to me, that was like some minor chords and then some major chords, and yeah, it was just really neat trying to bring that to life. And I know we had a hard time just getting it started. I had a hard time finding time to get it started after that. And Heidi was good at keeping us, on task. And I remember you and I believe, did a podcast or two, or not a podcast, but a Zoom, just the two of us. And I remember getting off the last one with you and just being like, all right, I just think that talking about it re-inspired me. I felt this level of importance to it. And I just had so much groundwork laid in our conversation. And I went back. Heidi Marble, there's two Heidis. Heidi Marble she sent me some of the video of our interaction together. We had Alex filming us, and So that reminded me of the chords and sort of my idea then. And I just remember, I think I started with like a drum beat, and and then it just really evolved quickly overnight for me. I mean, you wrote the poem overnight, and then I think I messaged you guys like maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 in the morning. Like, here's the first thing. It kind of sounds like something. And it just, it was just a really inspiring project that once we got it going, it just really took off. And, now there's been all kinds of polishing and tweaking that I'm obsessing over. But it's really sitting nicely as a song. And I've shared it with a few musician friends, and they've been really, really intrigued by it and the whole process. And I've got just nothing but positive feedback about it.
Oh gosh, Sean, this is Heidi Marble, by the way. Gosh, Sean, when I heard the ping on my phone and I listened to that song, it just broke my heart open. It was so beautiful because I was hearing Heidi's voice when I was reading the lyrics, and then to have a male voice come in and tell this story, and you did it with such depth and the vocals, and it was just a first take, and I was sold. I'm like, let's send this out right now. I didn't want to wait. I felt so great about it. And, Heidi, I am sure it had to be a moment for you to hear it for the first time too. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was like, I was so excited when I saw the text. It was like opening up the best present ever on Christmas morning. And just listening to it over and over again. And Sean recommended like going in my car and listening to it so I could get the full effect. And so I did that. And I listened to it again this morning, and I listened to a million times in between, but it was awesome. I just can't wait for other people to hear it.
Yeah. And I want to acknowledge right now, just the generosity that both of you, the time spent. I know this is time consuming, but I have a feeling it's just going to be the best gift we could ever give our community. And I just wanted to speak to that a little bit more, Heidi. I wrote down just a few of my favorite parts of the lyrics. And the thing that stopped Sean in his tracks really should have stopped me in my tracks as an adopted person, that you're not looking for them, you're looking for yourself and those parts and pieces. And I love this line. It's not them I'm looking for at all. It's me I long to know. And then there's another one. I'm looking for me to set me free, know who I really am. And then another favorite. With secrets and shame comes darkness, but courage brings hope and light. In my search for them, I've been set free. My soul is no longer bound. And I think as adopted people and other people in the triad need to understand that every human being is on a quest for finding out who they really are, even if they know their biological family. The struggle's real to really identify who am I and what do I want in my life. But when you're adopted, it's very complicated. And that shame and the secrecy, it is a shame that those exist, because we do want the support and love of the people in our lives so that we can find out who we are and where we come from. And this song so beautifully takes it out of your head and puts it into your heart. That's what music does. That's, to me, why it's so important to me. And if I could sing, Sean, I'd be fighting you for this song, but we want the people to like it.
Yeah, it's funny. Just you reading those couple lyrics gave me like chills, just like, I know when I was holding those lyrics, I was like, ooh, like part of me, I think I talked to both of you. I struggled with this sort of imposter syndrome. Like how can I really wanted to make sure I got the emotion into something that I didn't live. And that's hard. I could do that with the music. And a lot of the ethereal sounds, Heidi and I talked about that. Like when you wrote back the word ethereal, and like, I forget the 2 words you used. One was ethereal, and that's like, I like that experience in a set of headphones or in a surround sound. And I really worked to get that in there, and just have sort of those, it's like the feelings are swirling around as a sound, so, it's funny that the vocals, I mean, I've listened to them so many times and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty, yeah. And I'm just always like wondering, like, can I do them better? Like, but I can't act, those out. And, maybe a little bit of the humble humility of me singing them will resonate differently to someone than what it sounds like, when I'm listening to myself. It's a hard thing. I don't know. Heidi, have you had any sort of feelings like that about, your lyrics becoming a song? Like it's almost like a self-consciousness of it being exposed and shared.
Not really. I mean, honestly,
You've been living it, you're comfortable with it.
No, it's so exciting to me. And I think because I did publish my book of poetry about 10 years ago. So, or longer than that now. So I'm used to, I think I'm grown accustomed to spilling it all out there kind of thing. But I think what you had mentioned before about the difficulty of co-writing with someone, like kind of making sure you have a cohesive message. And I was shocked when I opened up that text and listened to the music. And I'm like, that's like exactly what I was talking about. Like, I didn't even know how to explain what I was talking about, and then like even the very beginning that you put on it, I don't know, just like probably something really simple, but I don't know, just everything about it. And then I think I did wonder like, oh, will it be strange having a guy sing it, and then I even thought like, should I be singing this? I don't know. Like I know kind of how to sing, but I just like nowhere near like your quality of voice. So, and who knows, like maybe other people will sing it in the future, so, but just, yeah, definitely you feel part of the family. You don't feel like an imposter at all. So.
I second that.
I know when you say about everybody singing it, the sort of chorus of the song that like, looking for face, a stranger's place is like nowhere to be found. Like I think I probably quadrupled my voice, and you sing the same thing similar to each other, but you end up getting, it's like a gang vocal. Mm-hmm. And I chose to do that on that section to sort of, I think gang vocals in a lot of songs usually are the spots that people sing along with. It's like, oh, there's other people singing, I guess I can sing too. So maybe we'll get them. And I think it's a simple part, it's a catchy part, and it's inclusive, and I try to design it that way. So, I encourage everyone to sing along with this one, sing it out.
Yeah, I've been singing it out for sure, Sean, but nobody wants to hear that. So I think what is really exciting about all of the work that's being done in our community is that we're able to see ourselves now in podcasts and in film and now in music, being able to identify with this song as an adopted person. It feels so validating to me, Heidi, and I can't imagine that others don't feel the same. But it also translates, I know, Sean, you and I have had this conversation, that this song, even though it's from the adoptee perspective, man, it's a human song. This is a song about, you can plug in anything and make this song relevant. But for me, it feels spectacular that the heart behind it is really anchored in our community. And I just want to thank you for that, Heidi.
Yeah, of course. I am. Most of it was directly my story, but I also, a couple of the verses are sort of referring to birth parents and, adopted parents too. And I know one of the lines, I can't remember whose podcast it was from, but it was someone on the Pulled by the Root podcast. I think it was a birth mom. So definitely I was influenced by the podcast too. But like you were saying about, kind of being universal and just people wanting to know who they are. It can be people whose, dad left, and they were just raised by their mom or vice versa. And just look at all the people who are not adopted that do the DNA research, and they know who they are, so to speak, and I think there's just such a hunger for that. So
there is a hunger for that. And what do both of you, ultimately, what do you want this song to do? Obviously, we want as many people to hear it as possible so they can be gifted by it. But is there some power you want it to carry, I guess, is the question.
You can go first, Sean.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I guess, this song does have some universal properties to it lyrically. It's certainly focused for adoptees, and I hope that everyone can sort of, all the adoptees can feel less alone. I'm sure that's a feeling that's pretty rampant through the community. And just hearing someone else's story. I always know as a musician, like, especially when I listen to blues, it was like, oh, that music's depressing. And I was like, no, I'm hearing about some other guy's breakup, some other guy's heartbreak. And I didn't have that exact same thing, but I don't feel alone in heartbreak. So that's the sort of universalness of the music itself. And, I tried to make those chords and just the song powerful as an instrumental, and have catchy parts, and just some of the mechanics and some of the ingredients that you put into a song to give it legs toward popularity. So it's sort of designed in that sense to really appeal to most people across tons of genres. And then I really hope, though, I mean, there's lots of songs for all different walks of life. There's not that many songs for the adoption community, so specifically. So, I mean, I really want it to be a gift for that community. And I want you guys and gals to have a song just for you and about you, and I just hope it's palatable to everybody, and musically moving. I want people to have chills and probably cry and memorize the lyrics, listen to it repetitively, and then sing along and engage with it, and share in the process. I know the end of the song, I do all those there's like a 5-part choir of me, and it's just like ohs and oohs, and I think that's sort of like this, just these sort of almost primal sounds that you're letting off steam. You're yelling into the abyss. You're just letting it out. And so I hope everyone can sort of, at that moment, at the end of the song, collecting your thoughts and, feeling your feelings. I hope that part is just like this really inclusive, because it's lyrically neutral at the end, but it's this choir, and it's just a lot of big sounds and a lot of swirly stuff. And I just hope it pulls people in and gives them the chills, and, they don't cry too hard in the car. Be careful in the car listening to this,
Yes.
because there's no windshield wipers for the eyes. So
No.
That's just a warning, a caution to everybody. Like, maybe pull over. I don't know. Slow down at least.
Be safe, people. Be safe.
Yeah, be safe. Be careful.
What about you, Heidi? I know for me, what I want so desperately is for everything that we do to offer some kind of healing. And maybe that feels really general, but that is what drives me, and I have a feeling, I don't want to speak for you, Heidi, but I think the way that you offer yourself to the world like this is the same. So, what do you want your words, Sean's, this collaboration to mean to people?
Yeah. I think, like, first off, it was so healing for me just to put this into words, and then to hear it in music. Like I always say too, I think that music, and you kind of alluded to before, that it helps you bypass your brain straight into your heart. And I hope that maybe I have put to words feelings that people are having that they don't know how to express. And for them to know they're not alone. I hope that maybe, possibly, and even for myself, I struggle to think, like, I don't think I'll ever share this with my dad. And that probably sounds really sad, but I don't know. At this point of his life, I don't know. I don't know if he would get it or be able to comprehend the meaning behind it. But who knows? And then I actually gave a sneak peek to my my brother, Joff, who's my biological half brother. he thought it was really cool. He's a musician too. So, but yeah, having said that, I hope it's something that maybe adoptees can share with their birth parents if they're in reunion, and adopted parents. Again, if they don't have the words to express, or just see if it resonates with people when it's officially out. I really had to discipline myself not to send it to everybody that I know. It's been really hard because I have a lot of friends that are birth mothers too. And I think just even the pieces, in here will be healing to them too, or just let them know, they're an important part of this too. And then like Sean was saying at the end, that whole musical instrumental part and the oohs and ahs, I see that as like people will listen to these lyrics and that's a chance for them to let it resonate and process. And, you guys know, after talking to adoptees, of course, people on your podcast are all very kind and everything, but, we know there's adoptees that are sad. We know there's adoptees that are super angry, and like all the feelings are valid. But I think that gives a chance for them to, like you said, process those feelings and just kind of sit with it as the song kind of goes on. And I do think it ends on a hopeful note, so to speak.
Yeah, I do too. And I hear you, Heidi. It's been really hard to constrain myself to not want to release this, but I do feel the timing is so perfect for the time of year when there's so many conflicting feelings around Christmas and families, and we all have the emotions, and just to have this come out at the time that it's coming out it just feels perfect to me, to say the least. Before we finish up and we actually share the song, is there anything else that you want to say or that we didn't cover about the song that you want people to know?
I guess just in general, I laugh because all my life I felt like I didn't have any gifts to offer the world. And to know now, like, that I have this creative gift in me and it's being used. So I would just encourage people when they listen, that whatever they have in them that's creative, to not be afraid to share it with the world. Because I never would have dreamed that this would be happening in my life. Just to know, like, you don't have to be, just trust what you have, trust your gift, and to know that it's not just for you. Yeah, that's my biggest thing. Because I started out journaling all my life, and I would have been horrified for anybody to read my diary or anything like that. And here I am sharing it with the whole world. So
that's why I love you, Heidi. Sean, what about you? Because I know this process has been a labor of love for you, and something you're doing outside of full-time work, and just so much appreciation to you for that.
Oh no, it was an opportunity for me as well. I think during the pandemic and having like my musical abilities to go out and play gigs as I typically did was just devastated. It was just decimated, gone, but I pretty quickly leaned into recording at home and building up that arsenal and that ability, and made a whole instrumental, a lyricless album, to sort of get me through it. So just any opportunity to do something meaningful with music is healing for me as well. And, as a student of philosophy, you read about other perspectives constantly, and you examine them and you try to reflect upon them and take something away from them and think outside of how you think yourself. So I just think, as a person, as a songwriter, as an empath, just this song was a huge opportunity for me to be a part of. And I don't really look at the time in my studio as clocking into anything. It's clocking out, it's I mean, I was able to get off the phone. I think my time with you, Heidi, we probably got off at like 9:15, 9:30 at night or something like that, my time. And I think I went at that song until 4 a.m. I was just so switched on by it. And I just went down this happy rabbit hole of just creating and getting all these instruments out and playing them, and a little bit of struggle and refinement and obsessive compulsive stuff. And just, it's an outlet for perfectionism, which it's not perfect, but it got closer, and so that's some sort of achievement for me. That'll always be the interesting part for me, is typically once I release a song and it's like live and then I listen to it, I'm like, I could have done that differently and this differently and that differently. And I don't know if the lyrics are like that for you. Some of these things are like living pieces of art, but I think there's also something good about just letting it go at some point. And working on the next epic song that we'll all write together and put out into the world. But I thank both of you. It wasn't work for me. It was my passion and my favorite thing to do. And it's healing for me, even especially if it's someone else's story. I mean, you shared that with me, you're sharing it with everybody. So, I don't need any more thanks than either one of you do. And it's just nice to collaborate on such a beautiful project. And it's such an opportunity. I mean, for me to reach a different audience as a musician, but also just to do something just as a gift, just as a shared piece of art, I think there's something really, probably the most beautiful about that,
So beautifully said, both of you. Well, I think our audience needs to hear the song now. Thank you both so much.
Full of pain, sometimes numb. No voice, no choice, grasping for joy, yet slipping through my hands. So lost without direction, afraid to ask for help. Full of fear and loneliness, days and nights all by myself. Silent struggle of a misfit, just trying to fit in. Please tell me what to hope for, don't let me down again. Missing pieces, yet not a search for them. I'm looking for me to set me free, know who I truly am. Searching for places, strangers' faces, no reflection found. Looking for them, but searching for me, alone yet in a crowd. If you could only know, my motive is so pure. Not looking to replace you, our relationship secure. It's not them I'm looking for, it's me I long to know. You chose me then, you choose me now, but I need to heal and grow. Can't imagine what they went through, so young and so alone. Knowing she's a part of you, suddenly she's gone. They told you to move on, you'll have more kids one day. It's better not to hold her, just turn and walk away. Searching found. Just looking for you, but searching for me. So long.